Hello, welcome back to Golden Keys Life Coaching. Um, so, what's going to happen today? Let's talk about. I want to do like a quick summary on love languages, the 5 love languages, which is something that was introduced to me. I want to say back in 2007 is when I learned them. Um, there's an author named Gary Chapman. Dr. Gary Chapman has excellent books. He has the 5 love languages for couples, and he has the 5 love languages for teens and children. He also has the 5 languages of apology. All right, because everybody does not apologize the same way, right? Everybody's apology mechanism is actually different. So you can say, I'm sorry to one person and they're okay with it, but some people you can't just say I'm sorry. There's another way you have to apologize to them. So that's a whole nother segment, but we're gonna focus on the 5 love languages today. Okay. So if you are in a committed relationship with a committed monogamous relationship with one person, not to say that you couldn't do this with polyamory, but we'll start small. So a committed relationship or marriage, and hopefully you know what the 5 love languages are already. But if you do not, shame on you, okay? Especially my ladies, shame on you for not knowing what this is, okay? If you are engaged to be married, I highly suggest you find Dr. Gary Chapman's book on the 5 love languages and learn what they are, and make sure you know what your love language is and your partner's love language. And here's why it's important. And it's also important in parenting as well. Love is supposed to be selfless, not selfish, okay? And so what we tend to do is we tend to love people according to our love languages and not theirs. And so it causes conflict. It causes one person to feel like they're still dissatisfied in a way, or they still don't feel loved, so to speak. And then the other person is frustrated because they feel like, well, I'm doing everything. I don't understand what else you want me to do. I'm trying to do this, do this. And the other person's appreciative of it, but it still feels like there's something missing, right? And that's because your partner is loving you according to their love language and not yours, okay? So let me give you an example. No, before I do that, let me tell you what the 5 love languages are. And ladies, I really need you to listen up because, women, I've been married before 12 years. I've done the baby daddy thing. I've done the Livia, women, there's a trend of a lot of females that want to be married so bad. And they want to be brides, but you don't want to be a wife. That's when it gets real, okay? Most women just want the attention. They want the Facebook pictures. They want the Instagram, the pretty, the whole Disney thing we grew up on, which is a complete illusion. They just want the attention. They want to say, hey, I won. Out of all the women, I got them, and marriage is not about none of those things. A lot of people get married for different reasons, but the motivation in your heart as to why you are marrying someone should not have anything to do with you marrying a person for stability, sexual reasons, because you go to church and you want to be able to have sex legally. You set yourself up for failure. Because you have children together, not a reason. Not a reason at all. Not a reason. So I don't want to get too far off topic, but there's a lot of women that just want to be married. They're pressuring these men to marry them, but you're only preparing yourself to be a bride and not a wife, okay? What it really truly takes to be a wife, A lot of you women are not ready and you're not learned enough to do that. So once the wedding pictures are finished going through the feeds, once the dress pics and the groom pics and all this stuff finished circulating, and you got the attention and the kudos you were looking for, all the attention dies down, and now life is real. Now you have to actually be a wife. And most women don't want to do that. They're not ready for that. Or when they realize what it truly takes to be a wife. And if you're in a religious world, a kingdom wife, they're not ready to put that kind of work in. A lot of women are not ready to let go of that level of selfishness. Okay? Because you literally have to die to yourself when you become a wife. Okay? So, 5 love languages. Everybody should know what this is. If you're in a committed relationship, if you're thinking about getting into one, and if you are a parent, you should know what these are. So, the first one is acts of service. That's a love language, okay? The next love language is physical touch. The next love language is words of affirmation. The next love language is gifts. And the next one is quality time. All right, so before I go back to the example, let me explain to you what each of these is. So acts of service. This is the person that, and everybody has one primary love language, okay? Some people have 2, but there's one that's always more dominant than the rest of them. So you can work off your 2, but it's typically one that's the most prevalent of all. So let's take acts of service first. Let me cross this off too so I don't forget. Acts of service. A person that likes acts of service is the one who, this is the woman who feels extremely loved when she comes home from work. Okay, if she's working outside the home and dinner's already made, kids are already bathed, homework is done. Her partner said, hey, I'm going to take this load off you this evening. I got everything. I just want you to sit down, read a book, take a bath, whatever it is you want to do, have a drink, whatever you want to do, you do that. Let me worry about this, this week or something. That's an act of service, okay? If that is her love language, she is going to feel extremely loved and extremely appreciated, okay? If that's not her love language, she's going to appreciate it, but it's still not going to get her in here, okay? Let's take the male, for example. This is the man who appreciates that maybe his wife goes and fills up all the cars, the gas tank in the cars. Hey, babe, while you were sleeping, I took your car and I filled up your gas tank for the week for you. With her money, okay? Hey, let's say he wears uniforms to work. Hey, babe, I ironed out all your stuff, or I meal prep for you all week so you don't have to buy lunch, or just take your money and do something else with it. This is this, or just some type of act of service. If that is his love language, he is going to feel so loved, like, man, I should be grateful to have this woman. I'm so glad I got her. Thank you. If it's not, he's going to appreciate it, but it's not going to get him in here, in his heart, okay? Or, he may take offense, like you're stepping on his manly duties, if that's not his love language. So it just depends on him. So acts of service, washing the clothes, taking the dogs out, whatever, if it's your child, this is the child that maybe you got a teenager, and let's say their love language is acts of service. So instead of making that teenager fold their own clothes, you'd say, okay, come down and get your laundry, and you folded all their clothes already. Here, mom's done it, dad's folded everything for you, just go put everything away. That's an act of service. And that child, teenagers are weird with their communication, when they're in that developmental stage, but for the most part, they're going to feel full in their heart, like, man, that was cool, thanks mom, thanks dad, and they're going to really, appreciate that. The next one is quality time. And I kind of have a personal story about quality time because my love language, my primary love language is physical touch. And my secondary is quality time. But there was a point when I was younger where quality time was my number one because it does change as you grow up. So quality time is that person that just needs you to sit down and watch a movie with them, go out to eat with them, have a phone conversation with them, video chat with them, just any kind of way to spend time. You know, the kid that likes to sit on your lap while you're watching TV, or, you know, the child wants you to color with them, you know, hey, color with me. It's not really about the coloring. It's about the quality time that they want because that's their love language. That's how they feel loved when people spend quality time with them. So I remember growing up, you know, I know my mom loved me, okay? But in my mind, she didn't. And we would always get into it and she would say, you know, I do this for you. I provide for this. I'm trying my best to do this. And you just, you know, blah, blah, blah. You're so ungrateful. And I'm like, okay, yeah, you do all those things, but you're never here. I'm always by myself. So it didn't matter the things I saw her doing to make things happen for us. She wasn't there. She was not home a lot, you know. She was at church sometimes more than at home as well. And so because she didn't spend, you know, a lot of quality time with me, I didn't feel loved. It didn't matter what she did. Okay, I mean, I'm glad. And to me, it's like, well, you're the mom, you're the parent. This is what you're supposed to do for me. But you don't spend time with me. So no matter what, I didn't feel loved. Okay. So again, you have to love people according to their love language, not yours. And that's not always easy to do. It is a very selfless act, and you have to pay attention, okay? When you truly want to love somebody and make sure they know that they're loved by you, you have to know this, and you have to learn it, and you have to get it down to a science, okay? So we did acts of service, quality time. The next one is physical touch, okay? Now, physical touch is not always sex, but that's a big part of it. A lot of people whose love language is physical touch, they need a lot of sex. They need physical interaction, okay? But sex is not the only way you can physically interact with a person either. This is the person that they're really touchy-feely. So let's say you're in the kitchen and you're at the sink or something, and you know, this person comes up and they brush you, you know, they put their hands around your waist, you know, they stroke your face, or they find some kind of reason to touch you. They grab your hand, or you're walking somewhere and they want to hold hands. You know, maybe you don't like to hold hands, but they like to hold hands. It's because it has nothing to do all the time with like possessiveness or nothing like that. It's just that's their love language. They need to be physically touched, okay? If you're watching a movie, you know, this is the person that wants to sit up under you. You know, they want to sit really close to you. Their leg have to be touching you, or something has to be touching you. You know, they like hugs, kisses, things like that. They like affection, you know, so that's physical touch. So let's say, ladies, this is the man who needs a lot of sex. If you want to be with this person, you got to do what you have to do, because physical touch very well may be his love language, and sex is a part of that. So you, just because maybe you're not a physical touch person, so what? That has nothing, it doesn't matter in this moment. Your partner is a physical touch person. So your partner needs that sex. You have to do it, and you have to be happy doing it. You can't be fake either, you know. That's, again, selfless, stepping outside of yourself and your needs and focusing on what this other person needs. That's a part of being a wife, okay? A lot of women ain't ready for this, okay? So it doesn't matter how you feel. You know, I understand if it's, you know, your menstrual cycle, you're not well, or you're sick, or you just had a baby, that surgery or something, that's different. But if you're just like, we did it 2 days in a row. None of that. None of that. None of that. Get them clothes off and do what you have to do, okay? He needs to feel loved. and that is his love language. So do what you have to do. It's not about you in this moment, okay? Parents, we get really busy dealing with bills and things like that. But if you have a touchy-feely child, slow down and hug your children, hug your baby. Just, my kids, they just be walking through the kitchen, minding their own business, and I just grab them like, hey, come give me a hug. Because physical touch is my love language. So I touch them. I love them. I hold them for a few minutes. And sometimes they look at me like, all right, Mom, are you done? I'm like, okay, you're good. You're good, But I'm a touchy-feely person. I'm a hugger, So I just grab her and my daughter and I just hug her before she go back upstairs. Or my son is reaching to get something. I grab him and just, can I have a hug? And he'll give me a quick hug, And then we go about our day, So parents, if you know you have a child that's touchy-feely, show them that love. Give them that quick hug. Take your mind off of certain things for a few minutes and just give them that hug. Just hold them for a few minutes and let them go on by their day. Okay. The next one is words of affirmation. Now, this is a tough one for me because, again, this is not my love language. But I have been in relationships with men where this was their love language. So words of affirmation is the person that needs you to speak life into them. Okay. They need you to verbally praise them. They need you to verbally acknowledge their challenges and what they've been through, okay? So I'll give you an example. For me, I don't need other people to praise me and build me up. I can do that for myself, okay? But if I'm with someone who needs that, I have to make a conscious effort to pay attention in conversation. So let's say he's telling me about something that happened at work, like blase skip, this happened, and then blase whoop whoop, and you know what I'm saying, but back in the day, you know what I'm saying, I would have did this, but I ain't even do that, you know what I'm saying, I just let that shit slide, blah blah, he's telling you whatever. Pay attention, listen. Don't just hear, listen. So there's an opportunity. So what I would say is, and you got to be genuine, you can't be fake about it either. I have to find a spot in his conversation to praise and say, okay, I'm like, man, that's messed up. You know what I'm saying? That's messed up. They was tripping. Like, that's tripping. You know what I'm saying? But I'm actually proud of you. I'm proud that you didn't respond like you would have before. You know what I'm saying? Because we need you to keep your job, baby. Okay? So I'm proud of you for that. That's what's up. I'm glad you didn't cuss her out. I'm glad you didn't, you know what I'm saying? I appreciate that about you. And, you should be proud of yourself. Because I'm definitely proud of you that you didn't go upside their head. That's what's up, that you was able to have that strength to walk away. That's it. That's it. That's love. That's showing love to that person. For me, I don't need that. But this person does. So, me, I'm waiting on the quality time and the physical touch. But he's telling me about his day. And something maybe bad happened. So I have to respond to him and not say, whilst he's telling me that, let's say physical touch. Because there are some men who physical touch is not their primary language. Most men like sex. But let's say that's not his love language. So that's not going to be the first thing he might go for. So he's telling you about his day. That's not the time for you to be like, all right, baby, well, let me make you feel good, and let's get... Okay, I mean, he going to tap it, but like it didn't make an impact on his heart. You know what I'm saying? And that's where you want to make the biggest impression on, okay? Anybody can make a person's body feel impactful, but when you get this, and the rest, like, okay, you know what you're doing. You know how to love, okay? Same thing with men, all right? If physical touch is yours and maybe that's not hers, or she's telling you about her day, that's not the time to whip it out. Like, well, let me make you feel good, baby. You know what I'm saying? Save that for later, okay? And just say, you know what, babe, I'm so happy for I'm proud of you that you didn't be a bitch this time, because I know how you can go off. Something simple as that. You just acknowledged the change in herself that she just displayed to you on her challenging day at work, and that's going to feel loving to her, okay? You don't overthink it. It's not like, super rocket science. It just requires you to be unselfish, okay? And pay attention and listen. And the last one is gifts. There are some people who, no matter how much quality time you spend, how many words of affirmation you give them, how many acts of service you provide to make their daily life better or whatever. They want a gift. There's nothing wrong with that. Okay, they're not all labeled, gold diggers and stuff. Some people, that is truly their love language, and there are some men that's gifts is their love language. Okay, so an example of gifts is, let's say he's been looking at something on the internet and he told you he wanted to buy, and you're like, well, that looks nice. Go ahead and buy that, babe. And he's like, well, yeah, I'm gonna wait till we pay these couple bills though, then I'm gonna try to get back to it. That's your cue to figure out, as the woman, as his counterpart, okay, what kind of move I need to make real quick, legal, to see if I can buy that for him. See if I can make that happen for him. Something happens, or you got a little stash, put aside. Go on in your little stash real quick. Maybe it's like $60. Buy it for him. It comes. Don't even tell him. It comes. Next thing you know, remember that one thing you said you wanted, but you want us to pay these bills first? Yeah, here, I got something for you. That is going to make him do all like, oh my God, he got the best woman in the world. Okay. And all gifts don't have to be monetarily purchased. People that have a love language of gifts love when you make things for them. Just make them something. Let's say, or it could be something small. Let's say she's, you're the man, she's having a bad day. And this is, forgive me, I'm not trying to be discriminatory. This is for same-sex relationships too. When I say men, whoever plays the masculine role, whoever plays the feminine role, or if you're two femmes together, you're two masculines together, that's fine. Either way, find out what your love language is. That's the whole point, okay? So don't get wrapped up in that language, and please forgive me because I'm not trying to be discriminatory and only make this for like heterosexual couples. This is for anybody. This is, like I said, it's also for parents and their children too. So let's take it back to the parents. Let's say your daughter, like my daughter likes red velvet. She loves red velvet stuff. So once in a while, if I know we haven't had anything red velvet, because I don't do a lot of sweets in my house, on my way home from work, I'll just stop and pick her up a red velvet piece of cake from somewhere. Bring it home to her. She come down, she's like, oh my God, thank you, mommy, thank you. Because her love language is gifts. My daughter wants you to give her things. It could be something simple as that. It don't have to be some grand, all this money purchase. I bring her favorite cake today. That's a gift. You can make a person something. If you're pretty crafty, let's say, your son, I don't know what I would say, son, or let's say your wife is sick, or she's been sick and she's getting better, or she had a baby or something. Make her a card. Get a coloring book. Who was her favorite character when she was a little girl? Mine's was Strawberry Shortcake. Find Strawberry Shortcake somewhere. Buy a coloring book and color a picture. Or you and the other kids color a picture if you have other children. And give it to her. That is a gift. It's still considered a gift, They love that and they will feel so loved. All right. So just to kind of recap, acts of service, quality time, words of affirmation, physical touch, and gifts. Those are the 5 love languages. For your children, it's going to change as they grow up. So just pay attention, just pay attention to it. I can give my daughter words of affirmation. I can tell her how beautiful she is, how smart she is. And, even if I'm disciplining her, I'll say like, why are you acting like this or this? Because I know you're better than that, like blah, blah, blah. I love when you do this, and why, she hears me and she's like, okay, cool. But that's not gonna move her as much as it would if I gave her something and said what I had to say, if that makes sense. Okay. So for me, quality time and physical touch. So I have to be careful not to, let's say I got somebody who his is acts of service. I have to be careful not to overcrowd him with my need to spend quality time, because that's not his love language. Just because that's not his love language doesn't mean he doesn't want to spend time with me. That's not it. But when it comes to the matters of the heart and making sure I'm making an impression on his heart and making sure he understands, I don't care who you encounter out here, the person that loves you is me. I have to put away my languages and focus on, okay, what does he need right now? Blah, blah, skip. So mine is quality time. I want to spend quality time right now, but he's getting ready to leave, so let me at least do this for him real quick. You know, quick love bomb before he leaves. Let me do a quick acts of service for him. Or let's say it's physical touch. It's not quality time, it's physical touch. So let me make sure we have sex before he leave out. He wanted me to spend quality time with me afterward. That's fine. We can get to that later. But he will be more apt to, when he feels love. You know what I'm saying? It's like a cycle. When he feels love in his heart, he's going to want to give it. You can't give what you don't have, okay? So if I'm giving him this love, he should be able to give that back. And later on, that night or the next day, you know, slow himself down and say, okay, let me spend time with my baby real quick. Let's watch a movie. Or let's do this or let's do that. Okay? So, acts of service, quality time, physical touch, words of affirmation, and gifts. Know your 5 love languages, learn them, and practice them, okay? Not just for you, but for the other person that you say you love. Love them according to their language, not yours, all right? Y'all have a good one. Hope y'all enjoyed. Thanks for watching again.